Unfiltered with Daveletele, episode 6. Wow, we made it past episode 5. And today I sat down and had a conversation with my good friend Joe Daymond.
Kia ora, Stefano, Joe Daymond here.
Man, what an amazing chat. I felt really privileged to sit there and have this conversation. This guy has so many layers to him.
I've got the word MILF tattooed under my eye. And basically the thought behind that was, even when I'm crying, the MILFs still get wet.
You know, we see the comedian out there, you know, making funny jokes on his Instagram, TikTok, and on TV. But there really is an amazing story behind it, you know, driven by some just resilience, strength, pain, and struggle. As I always say, greatness comes from struggle, and Joe Daymond is proof of that. You're really going to love this episode. Don't forget to comment, like, subscribe, share this out far and wide. Enjoy, team. Before we get started, Unfiltered with Daveletele is proudly part of the Acast network and produced by the amazing team at Fanaticals. This episode is brought to you by my good friends, Trust Motors. Now, they're an amazing company that support everything we do in the community. I've known them for a long time, so if you're looking for a new car, trading in your car, whatever the case may be sure to support those who support the community. Trust Motors, how car buying should be. Joe Daymond, thank you for joining me, my brother.
Bro, I appreciate you having me, man. You never get used to getting asked to do stuff like this because you see the kind of caliber of people and you're like, dang, I don't see myself as equal to that. So it's crazy for you to have asked me to be here, bro. It really means a lot.
Really far out. Man, it was like, it's just amazing that, you know, for me, it was like when you said yes, like, yes. All the team here were all pumped. And you said, yeah, it was funny. I told you the story. We're sitting just on the couch over there, and I was talking to the boys. We were trying to find people to come on, you know. I was going, oh, these bloody influencers. They never fucking get back to me. Who the fuck do they think they are, these influencers? And one of the boys said, oh, what about Joe Daymond? I said, I know him. I went into your Instagram profile, clicked on messages, and I saw that there was a message there that I hadn't answered from 3 years ago, and you wanted to come and catch up. I was going, oh. I just think, sorry, bro. Like, and then I felt like I don't know if you noticed, like, I was trying not to just straight out ask you to be on the podcast.
No, you were real apologetic, and I was like, bro, you're fine. Like, I mean, the whole reason I hit you up was because I'm fully aware of everything you're doing. So, like I told you before, bro, I never took it personally. One of the reasons that I hit you up was because my mum, she's amazing. She had a tradition for us when we were kids. Every single Christmas, from about the age of 13, we go volunteer on Christmas Day.
Yeah.
And it's something that my partner and I like still uphold to this day. And the reason I'd hit you up was because I wanted to get involved in that, but I also wanted to try and see how I could like help out on more of a bigger way as well, if there was any way at all. And it was funny you showing me around and experiencing everything that you're doing for the community, whether that was the classes, whether it was that like the businesses that you've set up to help empower people. Bro, my mum, she brought us up like wanting to aspire to do stuff like that. That she specifically said, I want you boys, and I'm putting you boys in these positions because I want you one day to be able to do things like this. And when she told us when we were younger, you know, for us, we're like, oh, well, I don't even really know what the hell that looks like. So to see that firsthand, bro, I just kept thinking about like all the convos my mum would have with us while we're driving out to Wellington City Mission, and she'd talk about that. And I was like, dang, this guy is literally the embodiment of what we used to hear our mum dream about us being or somebody being. So it's crazy to see firsthand that this is actually a thing. Somebody's doing it, and the fact that I know that person, how crazy that my life has gotten to the place where I could be in that position. So, bro, it's the greatest experience, honestly.
Yeah, that's so cool, bro. God's plan, man, and I think you come in at the right time, you know, and I'm sure that there's going to be a lot. I mean, you're going to come down and start training.
yeah.
We've got that on camera.
Yes.
Come down and start training. And there's heaps of stuff that we can do together, bro, that's going to be able to, you know, to help others. But where did you grow up, bro? Tell us about that.
Yeah, so born and raised in Wainuiomata in Lower Hutt, which is kind of like a little town in the corner of the Hutt Valley, which is in Wellington.
Yep.
So yeah, mum's Fijian, dad's Māori. Grew up out there, moved to Fiji with my mum. We lived there for a few years, then moved back to Wellington for a bit. We were in Auckland. And then actually my parents started working overseas, so we moved to Malaysia when I was like 5 years old.
Far out.
So I lived over in Malaysia for a few years, then moved to India, lived there for a few years, and then we moved back to New Zealand when I was about 10. So yeah, about 5 years overseas.
Yeah.
We were in Auckland, then moved back to Wainui, and then I was there. My parents are still there to this day. So yeah, from about, till I was about 13, bro, I'd gone to probably 12 different schools all over the place. And then 13, I went straight into boarding school. So it's a pretty, whirlwind of a upbringing.
Yeah.
But yeah, blessed to have been able to have the experiences that I did.
What was Wainui like?
Bro, it's pretty crack up. It's a wild place. It used to be wild. It's pretty chill now. But back when I was younger, it was known to be pretty out the gate. And it's always hard talking about places like that because you don't ever want to paint them in a way where, it has its quirks. And yes, like a lot of things did happen that people do have this view of that are, dangerous or detrimental. But when you're growing up in it, it doesn't seem that way to you. I'll give you a classic example. Bro.
Okay.
So there was a dairy that kept getting held up, armed robberies, all kind of AOS had gone out to it. After a real big AOS one where there was guns and shit, another person robbed the dairy, but they just stole a bunch of ice cream, and it was my cousin. And everyone knew my cousin.
Yeah.
We were kind of cracking up about it.
And he stole ice cream.
Yeah, he stole ice cream. It was on Police 10-7, bro. So he was the most famous dude in Wainuiomata at the time. And they I can't remember what he did. He did something that was real crack up. He leaned in from the window, grabbed a bunch of ice cream and then ran out with it or something dumb like that. The way I guess I'm trying to describe it is that crazy stuff would happen, but because it's such a tight-knit community, it just all kind of wound into the fabric of the place. Yeah. And that's why I've actually always probably avoided talking about it, because I feel like I don't really do the side that's accurate to how I grew up justice, because anytime I do bring it up, I know people are more just hearing their perception of how it is.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to over-represent the struggle, because it really wasn't that. And it was just kind of how we all sort of grew up.
Yeah, it was the norm.
It really was. It really, really was. So that's always probably a harder thing I found about talking about back home.
I think it's because, when you have an understanding of it, you can have more empathy towards it.
Totally.
And that's what we try and do. I think even with what you're doing, in your comedy, is you're trying to give people an understanding of what's going on, so they can get it more.
Because I know for me, one of the biggest privileges I have is, for lack of a better way to describe it, for non-brown people, I know I'm an accessible kind of voice to them. And I mean that in as condescending a way it sounds.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, I've been able to have the privilege of adapting in Pākehā spaces a lot more naturally than a lot of our people ever get the privilege to be able to do. My mum did a lot of that when it came to, that was something that she actively, it's going to sound weird, but trained my brothers and I to be really good at. Because for her, she's a brown woman that's come from Fiji with nothing. Her whole thing was, she really did kind of bring my brothers and I up in a way that she was sort of scared of the world that we were going to have to face. So she gave us all these tools that she thought we'd need to deal with it. And fuck, she did a killer job, because it did exactly that for me. So I knew, because I had that privilege, because I had a mum who had that foresight, for me it's been, okay, well, how do I then represent that perspective to people that, as weird as it sounds, probably have never actually met someone like me from a place like where I'm from. So that's been a whole journey, bro. And it is double-sided, because you are worried about how you're representing your people to the other side, but then you are also worried about how your people feel about being how they're represented. So it's an ever kind of struggle on that tightrope, really.
Yeah, it's like crossing over, I guess, eh?
Bro, it is. Because do you experience a version of that, or?
Yeah, well, I'm very conscious that I'm able to be in a boardroom or with politicians
Yeah.
just as much as I'm able to be at a gangtangi.
Yeah.
What I just try and remember is that I always stay the same no matter who I meet.
Yeah.
You know, no matter what room or what table I'm at, I'm the same.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that's the important part. It's the same with you.
And that's harder to do than it sounds.
It is.
Because, ultimately you want to be accepted. It doesn't feel good to not be.
You know, I go to speeches now, real flash things.
Yeah.
And I'm just in shorts and a t-shirt.
Yeah.
This podcast is special that I wear jeans. And a
Bro, me too. I wear pants for that very reason. I usually wear shorts too.
Yeah, and a non-BBM t-shirt, a plain t-shirt looks better on the podcast. But I just try and be the same. But it's now in my speeches, I just fucking hammer it, bro. Like I'm speaking mainly to corporates, have paid for me to be there, and it's amazing to have that, experience. But I really use it as a time where I can give them all an understanding of what's happening here, because for a lot of them, and it's no fault, you know what you know.
Exactly.
So it's important that they have more of an understanding of what it's like growing up like we did.
Yeah.
So they can get it. Okay, these kids don't have a choice. Okay, we've got to help.
And I guess the difficult part is that you do spend enough time on both sides that you do actually understand where both sides come from, and that can actually be something that, for me personally, it messes with me a lot, because how do you take two sides of something that you actually understand where both are coming from, and where do you sit in for yourself? And for me, bro, that was a struggle for ages. You try so hard to play both sides, you don't actually look at, well, where do you sit on that?
Yeah.
And that was something, again, that I really found difficult to do. And through my journey with social media, because that really, at the end of the day, was like the only thing I knew, I thought, well, why don't I just lean on that to help me figure out what my relationship with that is?
Yeah. We'll talk about your social media, but I want to find out more about your mum. Man, she sounds amazing, bro.
She's amazing. I got to shout out my partner for this, bro. She actually made me realize something like really, really important quite recently. Because what's the first word when we speak on brown women, like particularly the ones that have been impactful of our life? What do we say? Tough. And my mum is definitely that. But one thing that I kind of realized is that I think that almost misrepresents who my mum is, because she's tough, not because she is tough as a person. She's tough because of her experiences. She's tough because she's had to be. So one thing that I'm like trying to actively do now is that when I talk about my mum, I don't want to frame her as a person in a way of, yes, she's tough. She's tough because of her circumstances. She's not tough as a person. She's your classic brown woman, bro. She's feminine. She loves like fashion, and that's where I got my love for that. Interior design, same thing. She's a very creative, big dreamer, big thinker. Everything is to the biggest scale. I get this from my mum. If she meets someone and they say like, oh yeah, mow lawns, her thing is, oh yeah, do you think you want to start up your own shop? Do you think you want to build lawnmowers? And they're like, no, I'm just mowing lawns, auntie. And in my head, I'm always like, yeah, they can't just be just doing their thing. But that's her, bro. I think when you've grown up with nothing like my mum did, and you've been able to have your eyes open to like what's out there, that's a gift to you. So she gives that as a gift to everyone around her. And bro, she gave it as a gift to me. So if I was to describe my mum in one specific way, I don't want to lean on her toughness and her resilience as her defining character of herself. I actually want to lean on the fact that she's this super ambitious, like broad thinking woman. And of all the great gifts she gave to me, bro, like I reckon that's one of the best ones. And I think as Islanders, bro, I reckon that's us too. That's the whole reason we're here. That's the whole reason our ancestors came here. And I think that's like lost in how we're represented at times, to no fault of our own, I believe. So yeah, bro, that's what my mom's like. She would fucking she loves you, but like meeting you in person, bro, you're like everything. I think she'd see you and be like, this is what I want to be one day.
Yeah, bro, you made me just you get emotional there talking about your mum, man. Because it's bro, she sounds so similar to me. Like,
Yeah, you
know,
represent everything I was brought up like as a young brown kid wanting to aspire to be, bro. You honestly represent that.
man, thank you. I didn't expect that, bro. It's just giving people a hand up.
Yeah.
You know, making them realize, hey, it is possible. But you know, with what people forget and what bureaucrats forget, and this government definitely forgets. They say it's possible. Anyone can do it. Okay, it's possible. Yes, it's possible with the right support. You know, a lot of people don't have good friends and family that can help.
Bro.
So that's what we just try and do is like, you want it? I can help you, but you have to want it. You have to do the work. You know, so I'll help. You know, we can employ people, so it helps them. You know, that's all sort of. I'm always sort of just thinking ahead like that, like your mum.
Bro, and you know what's funny, man, is I reckon that's where the biggest, you know, people talk about like inequality in our country, and it's 100% there. I think people really don't understand like how big that is pushed by the gap in like knowledge, like the privilege of knowing stuff. I don't want to get too controversial, but like
Get controversial is what you want.
I reckon COVID was the perfect example of that, bro. Like I was talking again to my partner, so she works in healthcare. She's a nurse. And she was telling me, because she obviously has to work with a lot of families who are like having issues. And she was like, a lot of them don't have the privilege of even understanding medicine or health to the most basic level. Like even us knowing the fact that, you know, you can get a shot for meningitis. Some of them don't even know what meningitis is. Some of them don't even know what a shot is. And I think so many people actually don't understand that people don't even have the privilege of knowing that much about where they're at. So they talk about them not being able to get to certain parts of where they frame society being at. And it's like, bro, they never had the chance. So for you to have this judgment on them for not being there, well, actually, if you look at their circumstances, you'd be shocked at how difficult it is for them to access even the most basic of shit.
100%. People would say to me, my dad would actually say this, and I stole the line off him. And, you know, people say, how many chances are you going to give these fucking people? You know, my dad would say, well, what about their first one? What about their first chance?
I love that, bro.
You know, because a lot of these people don't even get their first chance.
And I think people like would be shocked at what that actually looks like. Some get none. My mum brought us up volunteering with Women's Refuge.
You saw it.
Bro. And the stuff she would tell us, one of the most impactful things for me, bro, was when we'd volunteer for Wellington City Mission. When you do the Meals on Wheels, you get the ages of all the people. On Christmas, you get the ages so that you can buy like the right gifts. So you get their age, gender, and all that stuff. And my mum would be like, "Oh, actually, they've got a 13-year-old Joe, so you can't come in." And bro, that hit me so hard because her thing was like, "I don't want them to be someone that you know."
Yeah.
Because, you know, we're one bad thing away from us needing that shit. This person could go to school with you. This person could play sport with you, and they were just one unfortunate event to needing this. We're the same thing, and bro, that like hit me so hard as a kid, eh? And I think that's why like I really approach these things the way I do now, because she really like instilled that in me, and I got to see it firsthand through my own experience. But that didn't sit with me because of my experience, and it sat with me because I learned it way back then with my old lady. So, yeah, bro, it was... And I think so many people, they don't have experiences like that. So when you try to get them to understand, fuck, they don't want to hear it because they don't think it's real.
Yeah, 100%. It's one of the main reasons why I get my, from the start of our food share, I got my kids working there.
Yeah.
And even my youngest, so they just get it.
Yeah.
I want you to understand how blessed we are. You know, it's just, and not everyone has this opportunities that you have. So don't forget, you got to help.
Yeah.
You got to help people. What about your dad? You got a relationship with your dad?
Yeah, no, real good relationship with my dad. He's just a very quiet dude. I joke around about it a lot of my stand up. So he like worked in IT. I don't think he's going to mind me saying, when I was younger, he wasn't around a lot because he was like super committed to working a lot. My grandparents, on my dad's side, they were always really up and down financially. So my dad kind of always carried that same sort of fear.
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't think they'll mind me saying we were kind of similar in a way as well. And funnily enough, I'm kind of in a similar way. You know, it's just that sort of learned behavior of sometimes you have a lot and sometimes you don't have much. And it's like really navigating your relationship with money in that way, which is kind of a journey that I'm on now, bro, to try and sort of break the cycle on. But my dad was working a lot because he operated out of that fear of
Not wanting to go there.
not wanting to go there. And so that always kind of made our relationship a little bit tough and probably still does in a way. But my journey with my old man was actually learning to empathize with him in that way. And because I was able to get there with him, I just kind of see it for what it is. This is just a man who kind of is doing the exact same thing that I know I'll do with my kids. You want to provide for them. And I guess he does so in that way of that fear of not being able to, which is relatable because the whole reason I knew I was going to have kids late was because I didn't want to put myself in a position where I felt the same. Obviously a privilege being able to say that, but that was just like my attitude towards it because of that experience. But he's a good man.
Yeah, I think we're just, I'm 45, I've got, 4 kids, 4 boys. And that's how I think it's how we show our love. But a lot of people don't have that option. Like your father didn't have that option.
Yeah.
He had to fucking work, and had to do his hours.
Yeah, and bro, like so much of what you said I relate to because that informed my whole approach to how I knew I wanted to lead my life was ultimately I saw my dad struggle. So my thing was, okay, how do I give myself that reassurance and that comfort so that I don't then give myself that same fear, that same constant need to like always be secure. Never mind like actually being secure. How do I also calm that fear so that, I can just be present?
Yeah. I figured it out when I lost everything.
Yeah.
I really understood then what matters in life.
Bro, it does that to you, eh?
Yeah. When you fucking lose everything.
Yeah.
And, you literally have nothing. You go, you know what? I didn't miss the cars and money. I missed my kids.
Yeah.
I used to visualize. So when I didn't have my children and my goal was getting my children back, I wanted to be around my kids. I'd be walking around One Tree Hill and I'm just visualizing.
Yeah, dang.
I'm fucking visualizing being at the airport with my arms out, and just like the feeling of embracing my children, my boys.
Yeah.
That's what I just visualize, and then as things grew, I visualized having gyms and having all the shit we have now, being able to help people like people help me.
Yeah.
And it's always, I always visualize. But then I work fucking hard to get it.
That's so interesting you say that, bro. Because I think, so when I was, because when I was like really struggling and kind of had nothing, I would have similar visualizations of what would help me kind of get past that. But I feel like I never really leveled up from that visualization. So I almost kind of just like stayed just okay with not being there out of maybe like a fear. And I guess this is where the ironic part in it is that to have been brought up by a mum who was like so ambitious for me and opened my eyes up to the world, I almost operated with like a fear of being the same. Yeah. And to be honest, I think it came from a lot of like rejection as well that kind of put me in that way.
Yeah.
Oh, but rather than like talk around it, I'd like just talk about it. So when I first started stand-up in 2017, that was like the greatest thing to ever happen to me because basically I was in this point of my life where I really needed to find something. And I just made this list, bro, of all these things I wanted to try, stand-up being one of them. And then I tried it, and trying it changed my life overnight. This comedian comes up to me, bro, he's pretty well known, and he was like, you need to do this. Seriously. You're special. And I'd never been spoken to by someone like about something that I was doing in that way. And then what was so difficult was to feel like, okay, this is for me, but then sort of feel rejected by the industry a little bit.
Yeah.
Because the traditional like sort of stand-up industry in New Zealand never really accepted me. And it's because I came in with that attitude that my mum instilled in me. But I think when you come into a predominantly, let's be honest, like Pākehā space, and you come in with the attitude that I did where I was like, I want to do all these things, especially coming from a brown person, because that's not like their perception of who we should be, because they hear of how we talk to each other, like be humble, have humility, and they're like, yeah, we expect you to be like that. And their perception of me wanting more in my life was not that, which is also bullshit.
Yeah.
I kind of got rejected a bit, which was even harder when I then like ended up living out of my car and was kind of like having to really figure out things on my own. No one really saw me as someone worthy of needing help, because in their head they were like, well, you want more than what you're ready to be given, so like why the fuck should we help you? So that was hard, bro. And it kind of killed that in me for quite a long time, to be honest. And I'm kind of in this process of weirdly now like rediscovering it. Even though I've been so lucky to be successful in this space, I think it would shock people that that's been with a lot of like fear because of, you know, that time.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't have thought it. It's crazy.
Bro.
And bro,
It's really hard.
So how did you go from to boarding school
Yeah.
to being homeless, living in your car?
Bro, so
Fill the gaps in there.
pretty crazy. So I was at uni, and then I actually moved back to Wellington after my first year because I really struggled my first year in uni. And then was in Wellington till about 2017 when I moved back and thought I'd give uni another go. And then over this period, I was having like a pretty difficult relationship with my parents. And it got pretty bad. Because what had happened, bro, was I was trying to do property development, and I was interning at this company, and I was pretty much working full-time for them for free, bro. And these people were rich as fuck.
Yeah.
Bro, my boss walks in one day and he's like, hey, you should go check out my new car. And he knows he doesn't pay me. I walk to work. I borrowed the fucking suit that I wear. He's like, go check out my new car. And I was like, oh, I'm all good. He's like, no, go have a look. And I was like, all right. Just wants me to go down to the garage and just look at his fucking car. And I'm like, what the fuck are we doing here, bro? Like, but, you know, I'm 19. I don't know how to say no. I'm also scared because I want to, like, really succeed in this industry. The last thing I want to do is tell people when I'm uncomfortable about stuff.
Yeah.
So I go do that, and then the final straw for me was, so we had this, like, networking thing. And just no one would talk to me at this like property development thing. No one would talk to me, bro. I try start up conversations, and I've always been a great conversator. It's something again my mum like really instilled in my brothers and I. And bro, people just brushed me off. And I remember leaving there crying and being like, "This isn't for me as much as I wanted to be. I can't do this." That's where the list came from. So I'd kind of just gone through like rejection through a lot of my life, and that was sort of the last little straw for me. But then that was also really difficult for my parents because they'd sacrificed so much to send me so they sent me and my brothers all to private school in Wellies. They'd worked their whole life for that. My mum said from the moment I was born, she knew she wanted to send me to the school that she ended up sending to me. So they like saved up that whole time, bro. So how do you then take this massive sacrifice that your parents have like done, mix in already a pretty like rough time in our relationship, and then you turn around and you're like, this life isn't for me, and this life doesn't want me. So pretty much broke off my relationship with my whole family.
Jeez.
Yeah, bro. So I was like on my own, and then I just couldn't get a job, bro. It was crazy. Like one thing I always talk to people is, I always talk about how actually easy it is to fall between the cracks, which is why I always kind of, if you look at my content, I always kind of speak to that person because I was that person for so long. Because what would happen was, bro, I'd go to laboring jobs or I'd go to like recruitment companies that are hiring laborers. And this feels weird to say, but I'm just speaking on like my experience. They wouldn't take me on, bro, because the way I spoke, they would be like, we know you're going to leave this job as soon as you get a better one.
Yeah.
So I couldn't get anywhere, bro. I remember applying for a graffiti cleaning job, and they were like, nah, you're going to leave as soon as you can. And I was like, I'm literally not. I need this money.
Yeah.
I caught the bus here. Like, I've been out west. We're in Penrose. I caught the bus here. Like, I need this money. So they wouldn't bring me on. I didn't have a permanent address. So I couldn't get on the Benny or anything, bro. So I was just fucked. So yeah, bro, I just started living out of my car. And then what I do is I do these like just labouring jobs on the side just for cashies. Back in the day, Countdown had these like massive $3 garlic and herb scrolls.
Yeah.
They were $3, bro, like that big. So I just live off those. I still had like a City Fitness membership. I was paying $7 a week. So I reckon my expenses, bro, were probably like $80 a week across everything. Bit of petrol for the car. And I just kind of was grinding it out on that. I'd go to Epsom Library, bro, work out of there, use the Wi-Fi, shower at City Fitness, get my scroll from Countdown, and it was pretty much just that, bro, for like 3 months.
Far out.
Yeah, so it was a crazy. It's kind of crazy to look back at, but then I always lean back on. People would be shocked how easy it is to fall into there, especially when you feel like you've done all the things you were supposed to do in life, and you kind of get. That's what you kind of get like left with. So I'll never speak down on people that are in difficult situations, bro, because I know how easy it is, no matter where you are in your life, to fall right to that.
Yeah, like your mum said, you're only one or two bad decisions away or tough times, things that happen in life for that to be you.
She spoke that into me, and then I experienced it firsthand. And
Your
so,
parents
bro,
know? Did your mum and dad know that?
That was the hard thing, bro, is that they didn't really know until I kind of went public about it. And our relationship is great now, bro, so I do feel, slightly, I don't want to say ashamed, but I do feel bad for talking about it in a way. But the only reason I do speak to it is so that it almost gives people a perspective as to why I speak the way I do. And it's not because I need people to like understand me or for people to agree with anything I say, but at least it gives them something to be like, oh, okay, I can see why Joe thinks that way. And so that's the only reason I really speak on it. But yeah, bro, it was a really crazy time, and then I think it was exceptionally more difficult, weirdly, not because of like my personal circumstances with that, but because I'd found this thing in stand-up that I felt like was my first calling. And that didn't want me either. And I think a lot of the industry are only really finding out now like how difficult my circumstances were back then. But bro, even in that time, they were like shitting on me, and that was. It feels weird to say, but that was probably harder than all of that struggle that I just spoke about. That was probably the hardest, to be honest.
Was that your rock bottom? Was that it? Some of us have multiple.
I definitely have two. Actually, bro, there's the one after that was probably harder.
What was that one?
Bro, so I don't think I've ever talked about this specific situation, but like, so I did Celebrity Treasure Island, and actually after that, bro, I fell into pretty much the same situation. What people don't know is that when you get paid for these things, it can be quite like a delay in between. Like you getting paid when you do it. And so I came off and the show hadn't aired or anything, but like I'd obviously having been on the show, I'd started to gain like a bit of public notoriety or whatever the word is.
Profile.
Profile is definitely the word, notoriety. Yeah, I started to get grow my profile a bit. But I was broke again because I was pretty much just waiting on to get paid from all these things that I've been doing that I didn't really have the money to do. But because I was also trying to start a production company at the same time, all my money was going into trying to build that. So I was broke again, and after I got off CTI, bro, I was living out of my car again.
Shit.
But this time I had like a production company. People knew who I was. So again, and this is why I keep, I guess, talking about how, like, I always knew how to get myself out of the struggle. I just have never really known what to do when you don't have to struggle anymore. So that was actually probably rock bottom, bro. That one, because, and I'm not saying it's a New Zealand thing, maybe it's a human thing. When people perceive you to be having things, they actually give you less leeway. When they, you know, yeah, I mean, I hope that isn't like misconstrued in a weird way, but I think that's when even like my friends stopped hitting me up, because, you know, in their head the perception was, bro, you've got everything, like you don't need anything from us.
Man.
And that's when you fucking need it more.
I remember labouring when I was boxing and on TV. It's funny because when people see you on TV, they think you just cracked it. You know?
Bro, they think you're rich as fuck.
I was on the, I was boxing and they thought so, but I still, you know, I was labouring, and I was old. You know, I'm not like a young. I remember labouring when I was young playing footy. But when I was an older and on TV,
Yeah,
and people would say to me, "What the fuck are you doing here? Labouring?" I said, "Bro, I got to eat." You know, I wasn't getting much from boxing. You know, but that sort of made me think, fuck, I better go harder in this motivation thing. Like,
yeah.
did it do that for you? Well, hitting rock bottom, did it motivate you to?
Of course. It definitely, bro, it definitely taps into like your desperation, for sure. And I'll tell you something crazy. So in my tour, bro, one thing that like I've been trying to figure out how to talk about it, but this was something that was like incredibly difficult for me, was when I was at that rock bottom the second time, bro. A lot of people came out to like offer me help, and these aren't people that you can necessarily take help from and not expect to have to give anything back. You kind of know what I mean?
Yep.
That shit is hard, bro. That shit is hard. I don't even really know if I should say this, but when you're brown, and especially you hit the public eye, like a lot of people will start to come to you and they gravitate towards you positively and negatively. And I had the exact same experience, bro. And people offering me help when I like need it, bro, it's like you're in such a desperate situation, you consider it. Bro, I got offered 50 grand. And I needed that shit. And it like took, I don't know what it was in me, if it was my granddad looking down from above telling me don't be a fucking idiot. I don't know what it was that like helped me say no, but I'm forever grateful that like I did, bro, because I think it would scare the shit out of people, the kind of like circumstances you find yourself in that lead to a lot of these crazy things that you do see sort of happening. So, bro, that happened to me, man. And I mean, to this day, I'm still like freaked out talking about it, let alone thinking back to experiencing it. But that's rock bottom, bro.
Yeah. Been there too, bro.
Isn't it crazy?
Bro, to me, it's whether you believe in God or the universe. I mean, that's a higher power entering there to make sure you said no.
Bro.
I was talking to you about my sister, who I would say, "Oh, sis, I'm tired of being broke.
Fucking earth.
You know, I fucking know I have nothing. I'm tired of this shit now. I'm just going to go fucking sell some drugs and, you know, I'm going to do something to earn some quick cash." And it's never quick. You know, it's always like...
It's never quick. It's never easy.
It's always a long way around. You know, like it seems like a shortcut, but it's always a long way around. And she said to me,
bro.
"Dave, don't. I see something coming from this fitness thing you're on." And man, I was still over 200 kilos, hadn't had a fight, no, nothing. So I don't know what she could see, but she obviously saw what we were doing now.
Yeah.
You know, and just, you know, thankfully I didn't go down that road, you know, just like yourself, thankfully, man.
Bro, and I mean, that was the hardest thing, is that, you know, I really had no one in my life at that point. I think my partner and I, we hadn't started dating. So it's probably like right before it. And I still look back and I'm like, I don't know how, because I would have been like 23, maybe 24 at the time. Young, an idiot, and in desperate need of something. for that to present itself at the perfect time, I do look back at it and I'm like, it must have been testing me to see.
Yeah, it's just a test.
Yeah. Because, bro, I needed that shit so badly. But I mean, that's why those things happen the way they do, is because they know when you need it.
Yeah. How did you get your way out of there? How did you work your way out of that hole?
Bro, and that's why I say it's the single greatest thing that ever happened to me. Social media, bro.
Yeah.
Social media.
Yeah.
I told a story recently on my Instagram and my TikTok about a dude that changed my life. He's one of my best mates. His name's Vinny Bennett. And I think to this day, bro, he still doesn't understand the impact he had on my life. Because basically Vin had followed me like early days, like 500 followers. And back then I was still doing a lot of the stuff I do now, just talking to my car, bro, talking shit, telling stories. And he would always comment, he'd always post, like tag his mates and stuff. And Vin's a really like respected actor, and especially in like the younger scene in New Zealand sort of acting. So I knew who Vin was, especially because then he'd been all over sort of the national news because he'd just won quite a big award at like quite a famous film festival at TIFF, which is Toronto International Film Festival. So I knew who he was, but I didn't know him. And then one day he just kind of messaged, he's like, hey bro, like we're celebrating my partner's birthday, like come around to my agent's place. And I'd never met this dude, bro. And then I go around to the house, and I reckon at this point I've probably got like 4,000 followers, which is mean, but nothing like, you're not looking at that and being like, this guy's a prodigy. You know, you're like, this is just a guy giving it a go.
Yeah.
And bro, he like pleads to his agents, you need to sign this dude. He will change the game for you. Look at his, you don't even understand this humor because like it's so different to anything you've seen. You need to like sign him tomorrow. And I'd been sort of in situations like that where people promise you things and then don't deliver. So for me, I was kind of like, oh, yeah, this would be cool. I feel good about at least having the validation. And I'm grateful for that. But if nothing happens, fuck, so be it, whatever. Bro, they called me in the next day after that, signed me on the spot, and it changed my life. Because what they did was they basically sat me down and were like, okay, this is how you're going to make money from social media. You need to hit these numbers. And when you do, we can speak to these brands and you can do these partnerships. And then because of that, bro, I was able to like actually make money and not have to worry about, you know, laboring or getting a job anymore. So Johnson and Laird, yeah, my agents now, like they really changed my life with
What's
that.
the name of it?
Johnson and Laird.
Yeah.
So yeah, Imogen Johnson and Christiana Thompson, they kind of they run the ship over there, and bro, they changed my life. So I owe my life to those two women.
Yeah.
And I owe my life to Vin because
So cool.
the circumstances that I just spoke about, like they got me out of that through pushing me sort of into this new light. And this is where I sort of talk about, they took somebody who didn't understand what to do with opportunity, like what to do with the opportunities they're given, and they just pretty much just like pushed me into it.
Yeah.
And I'll forever be grateful for them to do that because they really had no reason. Like I wasn't doing anything crazy, anything amazing. So they like helped me get to where I'm at and really led me there from a place where I had no one else in my life, like even personally, let alone professionally.
What was the first paycheck you got from there where you thought, fuck, I can make something of this?
Bro, I still remember it. They got me to do a story. It was like, we're going to get you paid to post a story.
Yeah.
And I was like, a story? Fuck, I'll rock that out tomorrow.
Yeah.
And it was some kind of like program that I think mental health, I think like the Mental Health Foundation maybe were running. It was like a program they were running.
Yeah.
They're like, hey, we want you to post a story for $600.
Far out.
And I was like, you can get paid for posting a story? I talk about this shit for free. Yeah. And they're like, well, yeah, just talk about the same thing, but just tag them in it.
Yeah.
And I was like, what the fuck? So $600, bro. I still remember that like to this day. And I remember that was the game changer for me because I was like, okay, simple economics. The more people that you have on board with what you're doing, the higher these numbers go. And yeah, bro, that just pretty much like opened my eyes to that whole world.
Yeah.
And so that was crazy to me. They have $600. That's what I was getting paid less than that a week to clean cars.
Far out.
So to get that to do one little story that was like 15 seconds, bro, it changed my life.
Man, that pisses me off too because I done stuff for that foundation for free.
Yeah.
They didn't tell me I could have got paid for it.
Yeah. And I guess that's the strange thing is like, there are ones like that where you're like, I feel weird getting paid to do this because like I would just do it for free. I have done it for free. But then what they taught me is like, yeah, but you're not valuing your ability to do these things. These are valuing your time and your brand. This is getting you paid for that time you've put in to build that. Little things like that, bro, that they really like ran me through to understand. That's like the single greatest gift you could give someone.
Yeah, but it was the same when I was speaking. I'd speak for free food. You know, when I first started doing my public speaking, which is how I live now, I would literally speak for dinner,
Bro,
you know, oh, can I get a feed? You know,
I was the same, and like stupidly, I kind of still have the same attitude in a way. Like, yeah, especially young brands will like send me shit, and they'll be like, "Oh, can we send you a T-shirt for a shout out?" And the business side that has been taught to me says like, "Oh, but that cost this much." But then me, it's like, fuck it, let's just chuck it up.
Yeah,
If that helps, like, I'm grateful that
Yeah.
I can even have the ability to do that. So it's, and I guess that goes back to what we were talking about at the start, that navigating like the tightrope,
yeah.
because it is a tightrope that you have to.
Yep, I remember, bro. There was this really where I understood it, where I did this thing for diabetes, and I did it because that's the work we do. See, fuck it, I'll do it. No worries.
Yeah.
No koha, no nothing. I said, no, it's cool. I believe in this, and turn up at the studio, flash fucking studio in Ponsonby, had a director, the host, a producer. And you know, in your head, you're in your business, you're calculating this. I know a camera person, I know how much this shit's costing.
Yeah.
And I got these bastards are getting paid all this money. And then so I hit my mate up who works within, I'll probably say it, he was the chairman of Te Whatu Ora. And he's a good friend of mine, he runs our stuff now. And I said, brother, can you find out how much this fucking campaign got for you guys for diabetes? It was a month. So they took over Diabetes New Zealand's Instagram. And he goes, yeah, but I'll find out. And I got the info. We got the info, and it was $200,000 for a month that these guys got.
And you did it for free?
Yeah, I did it for free. Everyone, I said, you're not even going to give me a fucking koha. And then I'm thinking, and I said, okay.
Oh, it's like that.
And I said, okay, now I want to, can you go back and ask for the insights? I want to see the insights of what? Fucking nothing. You go and look on the posts, no insights, no nothing. Unless the only time they had any engagement was when they were giving away shoes, right? And I think these guys. So I was at a big Te Whatu Ora a community health meeting with all these guys there, and probably why I never get invited back to these things. But they said, what can be done? I said, well, you know, first of all, stop giving all this money to fucking agencies who then come back into the community, use us for free.
Oh, bro.
And that get no engagement. Why wouldn't you just come and you got a guy like Ruben Wiki here that's in the community doing health. You got me here that you could pay us a fraction of that and get way more engagement, help way more people.
They always say they got no money.
Yeah, bro.
It's like, bullshit, you got no money, then why are you all here?
Yeah.
Because you aren't doing it out of the goodness of your heart.
Yeah, it's interesting when you know all these people who are all on 9 to 5 salaries asking you to do stuff for free.
But then that's the hard one, bro, because then you're like, well, I believe this should be, because it kind of like fucks with your head a bit, because you're like, well, I would and I believe I should do this for free as a public service. But then at the same time, like they've lent on me being here as the whole reason they're able to do this. Yeah. So it's like, it really just messes with sort of where you sit on it, because you're like, but then I'm not valuing myself. But then I feel like if I do value myself in this space, I'm devaluing my like my view of it. I'm devaluing like what it actually means to me the moment I feel like I'm asking for something in it. But then I feel like that's such a, I mean, I hate to generalize, but I feel like that's like such a struggle for brown people in particular, because that is how we're kind of brought up and how we're taught to take up space.
Yeah, I guess the way I get around it is I do enough shit for free. You know, everything we do is free. The service part of it. So on these things, there's still things I always will never charge for.
Yeah.
Even if they try to give me money.
I'm the same. Yeah.
You know, but you gotta value your brand, and just keep the thing. I think the more money I make, the more people I can help. The more money I can help over here on the business side, the more people I can come back over here on the social side and help. You know, to help more people. You know, we need more money to keep helping more people. That's what I think about it. So, brother, so you built yourself back up. Where to now?
It's I think for me, I'll just say what my dream has always been.
Yeah.
I've always really envied this. This is gonna sound weird, but I'll get around back to it. I've always really envied Stan Walker, because you talk to any Māori and they want to be related to Stan,
Yeah.
me included.
That's my cousin.
Yeah, bro. Yeah, that's my half brother. So, bro, it's always been such a cool thing to me that like his people embrace him in that way, that he's loved in that way, and that's only because of what he's done for Māoridom, especially modern day Māoridom. I reckon that dude's done so much, and I know he's kind of like viewed. I know there's a bit of a split in how he's viewed, but I know The Rock has done similar things for Samoans. I know that's probably, I know he's done some out of it shit, but I guess there's always an aspect of me that's really inspired by the impact those guys have on their community and the way that they have. And I'm talking purely from like an entertainment standpoint, and I always wanted to be a version of that for Fijians. I feel like we're quite underrepresented, even just in brown spaces, bro, let alone in general. So I always wanted to be a version of that to Fijians, not necessarily someone that they like aspire to be per se, but more so as somebody that opens the world up to who they are. That's more of like what I wanted to be, because then in turn that opens up opportunities for others to be the same, do the same, grow even more, move even further. So I think for me now, wanting to be a version of that for Māori, of course, but for Fijians as well. So that's kind of what I really aspire to be. And it feels weird to say it, but it's something that I'm now just embracing. That now I've wanted to be that for a long time.
That's awesome, bro.
Yeah.
What about your partner?
Bruh, I think, so T's been with me since we first met in 2019. And then we broke up for a few years in between. But like, she's been there for the start of my journey and then where I'm at now. So I think for her thing has always been, because she's seen me with nothing, and then she's seen me in where I'm at now, where I have like, you know, a lot going for me. Her thing at the end of the day is just like, how am I feeling? How are you feeling about this? She's always the first to remind me of like my purpose and what I'm doing, because she doesn't really care where I end up. Like, she could care less. She loved me when I had nothing. So for her, she's just like, I just want you to be happy. So when you have someone like that to lean on, again, you do then have the privilege that I have to be like, okay, well, what do I actually care about? Because you have somebody that cares so much about you, and I care so much about her. And it's just the greatest thing to have someone to share that with, that just gives you, you know, reassurance within yourself that you've probably never ever known, that I've never known personally. So I think of all the amazing things that I've been able to be given, like she's given me that, and I work my ass off to feel like I'm giving her the same thing back. So yeah, it's been great, bro.
It's awesome, brother. So this big tour that you've got going on, when does it start?
So kick off in Napier, April 2nd, and then the Auckland show will be April 19th at Sky City Theatre. So the first show just sold out, so we put up a second one just later that same night. So yeah, bro, nervous, but
How does it feel to selling out venues?
it is surreal, man, because honestly, and people probably might find this hard to believe, you really do put up shows, and like the question in her head of, will anybody actually buy this? You really don't know. Even for as long as I've been doing it now, and I've been doing it 9 years, like you still kind of have that uncertainty. So whenever people do buy tickets, let alone enough to sell a place out, and let alone enough to sell a big place out, bro, it's crazy.
Do you still get imposter syndrome?
I think I used to. I definitely used to. Whereas now I carry myself with, I've done enough that, like, I know I'm supposed to be here. So my thing now is like, well, anybody that questions that either doesn't know or doesn't want to know.
Yeah.
If they don't know, then I'll let them know. And if they don't want to know, then that's really on them.
Yeah.
And it's been a whole journey of getting to there. And I'm grateful that I am there now.
You know, you spoke about your why being, you know, speaking specifically to, you know, young brown guys that born into the struggle, going through tough times. What would you say to them now? What would you say to lift them, help lift them up?
You know, the thing I'd say is that I reckon one of the most impactful things that could have happened to me when I was younger was for someone to sit me down and be like, all these things that you're naturally good at, mine was talking, being funny, being adaptable, all these things that you're naturally good at are so valuable in whatever space you choose to be in. You don't need to worry about being something you're not, because what you are is so valuable. What you are is special. And if you haven't been told that yet, it's just because you haven't been in the right places that see that value. But they're there. The only effort you need to put in is finding what those places are. It's not being what's valuable to them, because you already are. That I reckon would have changed my life when I was younger. And it's something that I really want to speak into. And I say young brown men especially, not only, because I think everybody deserves to hear something like that about themselves. My thing is just purely from, speaking to those who I know from the very least I probably relate to them the most.
And last question I always ask everyone that's on is, you know, what's your why, your purpose?
I think it's to, and bro, I think like being really specific on it is important for me. I think for young and maybe lost brown men in particular who have been in situations like what I've been in, I think I've always wanted to be somebody that speaks to them. That's not to say I only want to speak to them. I definitely don't. I want to speak to everybody. But if there's one group of people that I want to feel like I have an impact on, it's them in particular. Only because I remember being in situations where I felt like there was no one really talking to me in that way. As a young brown man that was lost, trying to figure out what he was doing. So I think being an asset to them, in the same way that I see you being an asset to your people, has always been like my why in a huge way. I see every like young brown dude and I just see my younger brothers. So that's why I kind of carry myself in that way. Yeah.
That's us, brother. That's a powerful why, very aligns with what we're doing. And I can't wait to do some more mahi with you, brother.
Let's do it, bro.
And I'm so happy that we connected.
Appreciate you,
And
D.
thank you for coming on, my bro.
Means a lot, brother.
If you made it this far, thank you so much for the support. It really does mean so much to us. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and comment on our videos, and share this out. These stories are so inspiring, and they need to be heard by everyone. Thank you so much, team.